All right, so today we're going deep on Bob Camblin.
Sounds intriguing.
It is, yeah. You've sent us a ton of really cool stuff, quotes, little bits and pieces of his life, exhibition lists, even a YouTube video analyzing Origin of the Birds, plus some book excerpts. Quite the mix.
Definitely shows a curious mind, the one collecting all that.
Exactly. Our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to put it all together and try to understand what made Camblin tick artistically and philosophically. Do you think we're up to the task?
I think so, yeah. It's clear Camblin was one of a kind, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So for starters, who was this guy? Born in Oklahoma in 1928, goes to the Kansas City Art Institute, lands a Fulbright to Italy.
Wow, already sounds like someone serious about art.
He was! Then teaches at different universities for a while until 1976 when he decides to completely change things up.
What happened?
He basically goes full nomad, just focuses on his art, no more steady job, just art.
That's a big leap. Must have been driven.
Driven is the word. And his style. Controversial, iconoclastic, they say. Hard to find his work, even though he produced a lot. Adds to the mystique, wouldn't you say?
Totally. Okay, let's look at some of these quotes you found. They're pretty thought-provoking.
They are. Let's start with this one. Fortunately, some things remain forever or another 10 years, perhaps.
That's classic Camblin right there. Big ideas, but with a wink. Like, time is vast, but also things change.
Exactly. And here's another. 3 cottonwood trees, dense cluster of new branches, now with them gone. Look.
Simple, but poignant. Beauty, but temporary. He was really tuned into nature.
He was. And this one, look into the atom or look into magic and get what you need. It's like he's saying both science and the mystical hold truth.
I like that. No need to pick sides. It's about what resonates.
Exactly. He even talks about wanting to see when science and magic meet in a bright gray. It's like finding the extraordinary in the everyday.
Right. He wasn't afraid of ambiguity, that's for sure. And his sixth sense thing, without a doubt, senza dubio. Trusting your gut, basically.
Goes beyond pure logic, yeah. And then you have these moments like bright day and I soar. How cruel that my soul is attached to this earth. And yeah.
A bit melancholic, almost a yearning there.
Yeah, but then he says, find something in nature that completes you and then surrender. It's about finding your anchor and letting go.
Powerful stuff. And you can't ignore his honesty. I cannot tell a lie to myself for very long. That seems core to him.
Definitely. What about his ideas on creativity? Like, the light is all you need. The end is to evolve by doing the best you can. The means is to amplify what you're doing and believe.
Simple, almost like a recipe. Light, effort, belief. That's it.
No fuss, just do the work. And his thoughts on balance. In the balance, patience and yet, freedom again, and yet in silence, the reality can be maintained.
It's a constant dance, right? Finding that sweet spot between patience and freedom, silence and action.
Exactly. And how he saw art evolve, too, from art for art's sake to art for life's sake or art for my sake or art for survival's sake.
It became more personal, essential.
Absolutely. And this one, stepping off the train of thought, finding power and laughter elsewhere, that intrigues me.
Me too. Maybe it's about breaking free from those ruts the way we usually think.
Letting go of control, yeah. He was sharp about people, too. Remember that story? The one talking about changing the world, then meticulously paying for coffee?
Yeah. All talk, no action. Classic.
And this. As people move away from us, do they diminish in our eyes, or mind, or relativity? How we see others, is it really about them or us?
Deep, man. Makes you think.
He even noticed trying to stop an argument often makes it worse. Ever happened to you?
More times than I can count.
Right. Human nature, I guess. He said, if you argue, or if you agree, you may learn, but you do not communicate.
True communication is more than just words.
Definitely. He favored evolution over revolution, too. Change through understanding, not upheaval.
Makes sense, coming from someone who seemed to value balance so much.
Yeah. Then there's this poetic side. The cosmos waves as me with tree leaves.
Beautiful, right.
Totally. You really get a sense of his connection to nature. Even his watercolor palette becomes this philosophical thing. White is to light, black is to the absence of light, then contrasting that with how we see people.
Always observing, finding those connections.
Right. And how playful he is with nature, too. Well, that's enough about me, Mother Nature. Let's talk about you. What did you think of my last picture?
Humble, in a way. Recognizing something bigger than himself.
And those little thought snippets he jot down, like 5 thoughts crashed at South Blovedy in Mandel. Almost random, but maybe those were seeds for later ideas.
Yeah, like capturing those fleeting moments of inspiration.
He had some interesting strategies too, agreeing with a pessimist, offering a simple answer to an optimist.
Subverting expectations, maybe. Shaking them out of their usual thought patterns.
Could be. And his wondering if things diminish in our eyes or minds as they move away. So much about perception with him.
It's like he was constantly trying to understand how we experience the world.
And yeah, the more he tried to stop arguments, the more they happened. Universal struggle, isn't it?
Sure is. Okay, so then he talks about the artist as the only free agent, uncommitted except by desire. Sounds familiar given his life choices.
Doesn't it? He followed his own path. And this one, belief creates the actual fact. Strong statement.
That's a whole philosophical rabbit hole right there. How
Oh,
much do our beliefs shape reality?
exactly. And that solitude thing. You'll come to understand that you're connected with everything, echoing Ellen Watts. You find that connection by getting quiet in nature.
It's a theme, right? Nature as this source of truth and understanding.
Definitely. Zen comes up a lot too. The difference between believing and knowing. He said mystics have been somewhere and logic won't make the trip. Experience over intellect.
Makes sense, right? You can't think your way to enlightenment. Gotta experience it.
He still valued logic, though. Just emphasize balance with intuition. No need to throw out reason completely.
He was practical like that. Oh, and cynicism, a type of creativity gone destructive. Interesting take.
Yeah, like there's potential there, but it's turned sour.
Right. And then his call for a naive approach to art, rejecting the influence of history, critics, all that.
Get back to basics, the pure creative impulse.
I can dig it. And those paradoxical statements. Draw, teach, search, reveal, always framed in paradox. Very zen.
Embracing those contradictions, and the critic as a legless man who teaches running. Ouch.
Haha. But it makes the point. Can you really judge something you haven't done yourself?
He was big on drawing, too. Nonverbal communication, different types for different purposes. Action, analytic, conceptual.
Shows the versatility of it. It's not just one thing.
Oh, and the mystic switch. Changing truth. What do you make of that?
Maybe it's about those moments where our understanding shifts.
Yeah.
What we thought was true isn't anymore.
Like a paradigm shift, almost. And his take on failure, process and awareness of it, cannot be failure. It's about the journey.
I like that. Take the pressure off. Focus on learning.
Back to belief and knowing again. He said mystics have that direct knowledge, something beyond belief. Logic can't get you there. Got to use intuition, too.
It's a recurring theme, that deeper knowing.
It is. Even mirrors become profound. Everyone is a mirror. So simple, yet.
It makes you think about how we reflect each other, how we're connected.
Magic comes up, too. Magic for power is bad, but magic for seeing, that's good. Like using those insights for good, not for ego.
Makes sense, ethically speaking. And he even acknowledged that real seeing can deceive us. What we perceive isn't always the whole truth.
Our own biases and limitations, yeah. He saw that artist's dilemma, too, in a disposable art culture, the pressure for novelty.
It's tough staying true to yourself when trends are changing so fast.
And his sadness about the overuse of symbols like yin and yang, mandala. It's like they lose their meaning when everyone's using them.
Commodified, almost.
Exactly. And he said, in explaining something, it was killed. Some things are beyond words.
The mystery is part of the experience.
Right. But he still believed in diversity in art, even with all these influences. That individual spark can still shine through.
I like that. It's hopeful, in a way.
And his standard sign idea. You can't just transfer knowledge without experience. Gotta live it.
No shortcuts to understanding.
Then you get those poetic lists. White crystals, white salt, white wing, white bones. Just
Well,
makes you ponder.
The connections, the contrasts.
And his advice? There are no mistakes. So freeing, isn't it?
It is. Changes your whole perspective on screwing up.
He even twisted that pride goeth before a fall, saying, maybe the lack of pride or even the fall itself leads somewhere unexpected.
He was always playing with those ideas.
And that hologram metaphor, the fragments arguing instead of cooperating. Like us sometimes, right?
Missing the bigger picture when we get stuck in our own views.
And his view of chaos and order, that cyclical thing, that's pretty fundamental, isn't it?
It's a pattern you see everywhere. Nature, history, even personal life.
His hologram concept builds on that. More perspectives, clearer understanding.
Collective wisdom, yeah.
He pondered big stuff, too. Finite or steady state universe.
Existential questions. What is our place in all this?
Even solipsism. Solipsists aren't crazy, they just misunderstand. Compassionate, almost.
Like they're not wrong, just haven't seen the bigger picture yet.
And how he saw himself living in past, present, future all at once to dream how it works.
Always seeking, always trying to understand.
Time travel, he said, is at the speed of enlightenment. Deep, man.
It's about that inner shift, not literal movement through time.
The hawk and the snake, he observed. Path of least resistance is easy for them, but complex for us.
We humans, we overthink things.
Right. And then these beautiful lines. Long silence, melting rocks, infinite space, eternal time, a point of return, a cycle.
Yeah.
Almost takes your breath away.
It does. You can feel the vastness, the sense of timelessness.
Even a little story about Louis Sullivan becomes a reflection on honor. Every detail matters.
Right. And art, he said, can be futile, but also provocative. It makes you question things.
Like, what's the point of it all? But maybe that questioning is the point.
Could be. And that phoenix frozen in a salty shell metaphor.
Potential trapped, unable to be reborn.
Poignant, isn't it? And then meaning is in the living. Not some abstract idea, but the experience itself.
That present moment focus again. And lastly, this cosmic view of time, waiting for a magnificent pulse.
Wow. Makes you feel small, but also part of something much bigger.
So, a lot to unpack there. Quotes alone give you a sense of the guy.
Definitely. Complex thinker, deep observer, not afraid of contradictions.
Okay, let's move on to Origin of the Birds. We've got that YouTube analysis and book stuff.
You want to start with describing the painting itself.
Yeah, give us the visuals.
All right, so picture this. Canyon scene, earthy colors, browns, ochres, In the middle, this dark, winding channel of water, kind of ominous.
Dramatic setting.
It is. Then up top, you get this later blue sky, kind of hopeful. But down in the water, that's where things get interesting. There are these shapes, lines, almost like hieroglyphs or fossils, all swirling around.
Mysterious.
Totally. And from the right-hand cliff, these arcs of white, like brushstrokes, reaching across, connecting to the water.
Adding to the motion.
Yeah. Oh, and up in the sky, almost like a cosmic lens, there's this translucent orb. It's like it's revealing something or giving birth to something.
The title's a big clue too, right? Origin of the Birds.
Lovely.
We're talking beginnings here.
Absolutely. Mythic, prehistoric vibes. Those markings in the water, some folks think they're like ancestral codes, the blueprint for birds,
The DNA, or maybe even the symbolic origin.
Right. And the painting's divided into these zones, the rocks, the dark water, the bright sky. Your eyes drawn to that watery center.
Like the birthplace, yeah.
Exactly. And that white arc, like a bridge between the earthly and the cosmic. It's channeling energy down into that creation zone.
And the black water itself, it's loaded with symbolism. Primordial soup, the primal womb.
All that potential, the mystery of where life comes from. And those swirling lines, they could be genetic codes or maybe even ancient stories, who knows?
It's cool how it mixes the recognizable, the canyons in water, with those abstract swirls and arcs. Reminds me of artists like Ernst Carrington. That surrealist vibe.
Dreamlike, yeah. And the surfaces, all cracked and eroded like a fresco or an ancient cave painting.
Adds to the sense of deep time.
It does. So yeah, Origin of the Birds. It's like witnessing this primal moment. Birds rising from the depths, earth meeting sky.
Lots of philosophical stuff going on, too. That YouTube analysis, they link it to Zen.
Oh, yes, Sunyata, that emptiness thing. Form emerging from the void. The dark water's the void, and then you get all this complexity rising from it.
It's like that question, what was your face before you were born? Thinking about beginnings in a whole new way.
Right. It's not about the literal facts, but the essence of where things come from.
And that Enso circle, that completeness, unity, it's like the birth of birds is also a return to wholeness.
Part of a larger cycle, yeah. They even bring in the I Ching, those hexagrams. GE, revolution, shedding the old. Chen, the creative, new beginnings.
Layers upon layers of meaning.
And birds themselves, they're all about freedom, transcendence.
Yeah.
Rising above the earthly.
Lao Tzu comes up, too. Everything returns to the source, the balance of yin and yang. Birds embody that, right? Land and air creatures.
They do. So yeah, this painting's not just about birds, it's about all these big ideas.
And that secular Buddhist take, it's not about the origin itself, but what you do with it.
Like, the past is less important than how you live in the present. And knowledge, it's impermanent. What we know now might become a mystery later, like those markings in the water.
It's almost like he was channeling something, tapping into that creative source beyond thought.
Right, like that first moment of flight, pure instinct, pure creation.
And they end by asking the viewer, what are your beginnings? What are you giving birth to?
Bringing it back to personal experience, yeah.
Powerful stuff. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Talk about Camblin's overall artistic development. He started with social protest stuff in the 50s, then moved into this social realism mixed with non-objectivity.
Not your typical progression.
No, he wasn't afraid to experiment. That Fulbright to Italy was big, inspired by artists like Cremoni, but also Etruscan terracottas, those ancient figures.
Mixing the contemporary and the ancient.
Exactly. And he started doing these huge drawings, not as studies, but as works in themselves, like elevating drawing to the level of painting.
Bold move.
He even built corrections right into them, embracing the process.
Making the imperfections part of the art?
In the 60s, he was trying to combine the poetic stuff of Hugo van der Goes with the emotional rawness of Goya.
Intriguing mix.
Yeah.
Then in the 70s, he moves to Houston. And that's when he really starts pushing boundaries, trying to tap into the mystical through art.
Aiming to blow people's minds, they say.
Ambitious, to say the least. That 70s work, it's cryptic, focused on life cycles, metamorphosis, big questions, lots of symbolism. He even told people to use their Gestalt psychology to interpret it.
Like see the whole, not just the parts.
Exactly. Puppets, scarecrows, these recurring images. Then in the 80s, he mixes drawing and watercolor, adding layers of meaning.
Not obvious at first glance, you gotta look closely.
The details matter, the subtle shifts in line, tone, it unfolds over time.
And he wasn't just a lone wolf. He collaborated too, right? B&E Productions with Earl Staley and the holding firm with Joe Tate.
Challenging the idea of the solitary artist.
And then 1976, he ditches the academic life, goes nomad. Art was everything.
No distractions, total commitment.
He even did this Mouches Volantes style with Nancy Giordano, all dots and dashes creating optical illusions.
Playing with perception again.
And sometimes signing his work anonymous. Not about the ego, about the art itself.
It's consistent, that humility.
People say his art goes beyond criticism, speaks to the soul. Pretty powerful stuff.
It is. In that book, The Art of Everything, they describe his drawings as paradoxes made visible. Illusion, traps, stillness.
Gets to the heart of it.
In that other book, Zen and the Art of Enlightenment, they connect his work to Zen, the I Ching. It's not just pretty pictures, it's about deeper stuff.
Making you think, yeah. Okay, some biographical tidbits. Born in Ponca City, Oklahoma, the Marland Estate, the Pioneer Woman statue. Maybe those had some influence.
Subconscious, maybe. Early exposure to grand gestures, pioneers.
His friendship with Forrest Harrisberger was long and deep. They went through a lot together, military service, art school.
Shared experiences shape you.
And he was a reader? Emerson, the I Ching, haiku, those definitely fed into his art.
Big time. Introspection, nature, finding meaning in simplicity. It's all there.
That time in Italy was huge, too. The Uffizi, those Renaissance masterpieces, and then the Capuchin catacombs with all those
A
skeletons.
stark contrast. Beauty and death, side by side.
He even worked as a map maker before teaching. Interesting, right?
It is. Maybe that precision, that spatial awareness, found its way into his art somehow.
When he got to Rice University in Houston, he really connected with the art scene there.
Became a key figure, by the sounds of it.
But he had strong opinions about how art should be displayed, how galleries and museums should operate.
Didn't just go with the flow, he challenged things.
His Scarecrow series, inspired by Günter Grass, that was a big one, evolved into these myths exploring metamorphosis.
From literature to visual art, the ideas flowing back and forth.
And how he used text in his drawings, not as straight info, but as disguise or clues, like Tom Wolfe talked about.
Turning the viewer into a detective.
He wanted people to engage, to figure things out for themselves.
Not spoon-feeding, more like guiding.
His early works were about social protest, but even later on, you see that engagement with the world.
Always observing, questioning, trying to understand.
Earl Staley called him a gregarious storyteller. Their studio, B&E Productions, that was a hub of creativity.
Sounds like a vibrant space.
Well, then he goes nomad again, loses touch with those Houston folks. Adds to the mystery, you know.
It does. Even trying to organize a show of his work after he's gone, that shows he made an impact.
And those quotes from people who knew him, mystical trickster figure, reading his art like a book, always questioning, autobiographical, it all paints a picture, right?
Definitely. Complicated guy, but brilliant.
So what if we learn? Bob Camblin, a true original, hard to pin down, but his art was about big ideas. Time, nature, perception, how we create, logic versus intuition.
He worked in so many ways, but there's that Zen thread running through it all. And that collaborative spirit, too. It's not just about him, it's about the bigger picture.
He wanted to make you think, not just look at pretty pictures. He wanted to provoke, to challenge.
He succeeded, that's for sure.
So for you, our listener, think about Camblin's mystic switch. What triggers those moments of insight for you? When do you move from just looking to really seeing?
What shifts your perspective, makes you understand things in a new way. That's the Camblin challenge, if you will.
Keep exploring, keep questioning. That's what he would have wanted.
Exactly. There's always more to discover, in art and in life.
And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into the world of Bob Camblin. Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.